Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. This is going to be a really fun one today. We're talking about top 12 Best Director Oscar winners. And I've got a great panel here with me. Over to this side, we've got Chad. Chad, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm really excited to talk directors. In fact, I'm actually wearing my Shawshank shirt in protest that Frank Darabont is not one of them.
And next along, we've got Manning. Manning, how's it going?
Oh, it's going good. I am excited. Oscar season is officially done, but apparently it's not done because we're talking about Oscars, and I am A-okay with that. Right now, I'm just ready to get started and for you to talk about A Man for All Seasons, which I yet to have seen, as we had in our last Oscars Rankum.
Next up, we've got Dylan. Dylan, how's it going?
Hey, I'm excited to be here. I've been a big fan for a while, and now is my first Rankum, so I'm ready to get into it. Excited.
Exciting.
And last but not least, we got Chris. Chris, how's it going?
Doing good. Happy to talk about that director winning Oscar. There was some shocking one that I looked up. I thought one critic won the sequel. I thought one for the original. I was shocked, but we will get to that.
But with that, how this works is we're going to go around the horn and each nominate a director we think deserves on the best 12 list. I know I mixed up the rules there, but I don't care. But with that, we're going to go to Chad. Chad, what is the first movie you're going to bring up? Or director?
All right, yeah. I'm going to go with a very, very recent one, but not the most recent. I'm actually going to go with Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. It's this movie was kind of a lock. Everyone was talking about this movie when it came out, and Bong has had a stellar career leading up to it, and then as soon as this one came out, it was just one of the most solid movies you could ever see. With all the performance in this, you have different layers of comedy with drama, all happening with each one of these actors, and then the direction in this movie with the cinematography, where just how the camera moves and pans, and just and just the story with it is just incredible, where you have the duality between the rich and the poor, and and just seeing how different people live and stuff like that. It's a really great film, and I love Bong Joon-ho, so there you go.
Manning, what do you say about Bong Joon-ho from Parasite?
And this is the most interesting thing, because I was not going to suggest him merely because it is such a new pick. It literally has just come out. And while I think Parasite is literally one of the best films of this past decade, I adore that film so much. And the fact that he won over Sam Mendes, who literally was sweeping everything else, and he coming out of nowhere, still one of the best moments in Oscar history of him winning, and then referencing Scorsese, and just so great. I could go on and on about that. I still watch that sometimes. I want to say yes so desperately, because I think one day it'll go down as one of the best of all time, not only for its cultural significance, but for the quality of the film that he won for. It is so new, though, and that is the one thing I'm hesitant to putting on a top 12 of all time. But I'm not going to throw that into my hands. I'm going to throw it to the other people, and I'm going to say yes.
Dylan, what do you say about Bong Joon-ho?
Yeah, I think Manning brought up a good point about, the competition. Sam Mendes, Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese. It's always important to look at who they beat as well. And that moment where he wins is just so great. That speech where he's like, if I could cut up the Oscar and hand it to every one of you, I would. It's not just the actual quality of the direction itself, but then the win itself on top of that, that makes it special. And I do think we will be thinking about it in years and decades to come. So it's a big yes from me.
And with that, Bong Joon-ho does make the list. Chris, what would you have said?
hell yes, I love Bunch. I've been a huge fan of Bunch for a while. Like, and his directing style, I always love. Like, give that one shot after the flood happened, just seeing like people on like stuff, floating in an incredible shot. And, like, there's some like the shot of the guy in the freaking basement, the eye popping up, like one of the images.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, and that's why he just tells a story with direct, even the silent moments, with the no dialogue at all. He got focused on the actor face, and then like, I know it's recent, but on my list, it's actually my number 2. And like, I look at something else that more recent role, but yeah, yes.
Yes, this is an interesting one because I did actually put this on my personal list partly because I knew it was going to come up anyway. I'm personally not that big of a fan of Parasite. I mean, I've said this before. It's not because I think the movie is terrible. I think it's fine for me. When it comes to foreign movies, sometimes having to read the subtitles can take me out of the enjoyment of it. Like, there are some foreign movies I like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is one that I can just not have to worry about the subtitle. I can just enjoy the movie and just the visuals and all that and that. But Parasite is one of those ones I felt like I had to read the subtitles for, so that kind of took me out of it. I mean, I don't think it's a terrible movie. It's well made. It's 3 stars for me, so it's pretty much middle of the road. So, but I probably would have said no, but it doesn't matter. He's made the list anyway. Manning, what is the first one you're going to bring up?
Love it when our first one just makes it through, and it's like, okay, this is going to be a good, quick one that never turns out to be that way on Rankum. So for my pick, I'm going to rewind the tape a little bit more back into, we're going to go back into, I believe, the 60s. There is a director who is probably one of the best when it comes to epic scale movie productions of all time. And there are a couple of ones that, obviously I could be referring to, but there's one in particular. He has won 2 Oscars before, but I'm going to single out one because I think this is the superior film, personally, for me. Some people, like the Gone with My co-host Abe, would say, no, this is the other one's his best film, but this is one that I think is his personal best. I'm going with 1962's David Lean's win for Lawrence of Arabia. Lawrence of Arabia is one of those films that I think was a technical masterpiece at its time and still to this day holds up, not only with its technique, but what it represents for, like, the epic. We didn't get many epics after that, sadly. And I think when you look back for a directing achievement, this is one to me that has stood the test of time and has not been it's not dated all that much. Some choices in the casting, we'll say, have been dated, but other than that, there is just some fantastic visuals that you could go along with it, and just and just a sense of wonder and scope that David Lean has done. And as a film director, you've coupled that with Bridge on the River Kwai. He's someone that I want to get on this list immensely.
Dylan, what do you say about David Lean for Lawrence of Arabia?
Yeah, I actually have David Lean on for Bridge on the River Kwai, so I'm glad you brought it up. Again, it's like, I doubt both are going to make it on the list, so I will say yes, because obviously he's one of the most visionary, epic directors of all time, and I think that 1-2 punch of the two of them and winning for both of them, well deserved. I would have gone with the other one, but again, to get him on the list, I will say yes.
Woo.
Chris, what do you say about David Lean for Lawrence of Arabia?
I've been catch up with the movie I've never seen, and I have yet to watch Lawrence of Arabia, so that's a thing. But for a clip I've seen, I love it. I just haven't seen the whole thing.
Yeah, this is one that I haven't seen either of the movies he's been nominated for.
It's okay.
So yeah, but with that, But Chad, what do you say about David Lean for Lawrence of Arabia?
I think this is going to make the list by default because I also have not seen Lawrence of Arabia. I'm hoping for a theater release so I can see it on the big screen.
Yeah, I mean, my rule of the not seeing it's not counting against the movie doesn't work anymore. So David Lean does make it on the list.
Okay, I did not know that was a new rule. Fantastic. I was like, well, let's try for Kwai.
But Dylan, we go to you for your next nomination.
Yeah. When I think of like directors and films in general, I think a lot of directors have a lot of the work done for them by the actors and by the script. But one director in particular, I think, really, without him, I don't think the whole picture comes together as much as it does, and that is James Cameron for Titanic. It is one of those movies that some people do like or don't like. Over the years, it's soured for some people. I still love it, but I do think those two central performances are great. But really, it's his direction, his vision, his craft, his research that he put into it. He actually went to the depths of the ocean for this movie, and I think you have to look at the craft and just the body of work itself, and without him I really don't think it would hold up as well. Obviously you have a bunch of other elements, of course, that help, but I think he is the main mastermind behind that. So I think Titanic is one of the most impressive blockbusters still, at least visually, and that's why I nominate James Cameron.
Chris, what do you say about James Cameron?
I like Titanic. I do. I think it will be successful due to the camera directing and the way he does the film, especially the later half of the film with the Titanic thinking and everything. Would I put him in top 12? I don't think the odd one here. I don't think no, because I think the other director would put before him, and that's not my favorite work for him. If they're kind of directed with it. Why?
But for me, I'm going absolute yes to James Cameron. Like, I love Titanic and everything that he did with it is great. He totally deserved the Oscar that year. I know there's some people out there that just say he doesn't, but I think he did. Chad, what do you say about James Cameron for Titanic?
Yeah, everything Dill said, he said beautifully, and it's perfect. I mean, James Cameron. I'm gonna say yes. Spoiler, because James Cameron directed the shit out of that movie. There's the spectacle of it. It's just like it was the movie of 1997, and just everything James Cameron does, like all of his movies, he just makes his own. And it's a James Cameron movie, and that's not a negative. And yeah, Titanic's great. So yeah, definitely.
Manning, what would you have said about James Cameron for Titanic?
We already know it already made it. And while I am not the biggest James Cameron fan, and most of his work, that said, I would be remiss if I did not champion what he has done for the blockbuster cinema. And considering Titanic and Avatar are the two highest grossing films of all time, and Titanic in and of itself was an achievement at the time, and still to this day is an achievement. Yeah, I absolutely. Plus, my girlfriend would I would not. She would be like, "You have to do this," and I'm doing this for you. So she loves Titanic, and I'm going to do it. Saying yes.
Chris, what is your next nomination?
So my third nomination for myself. So I referenced it earlier in the show that the director wanted for the sequel, not the original. I was shocked looking it up. And I had to because on any given day, just in the original, go back and forth to my favorite movie of all time. I'm going for Friendship for Coppola for the Godfather Part 2. The 47th January, can't remember. This is and I love the Friendship Godfather. Any given day, they go back and forth between one of my favorite movies of all time. But I think what Friendship for Coppola did, especially juggling both storyline Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, which flashback and everything happening. There's some shot, I know it would use for a moment, or when it actually gets shot in water fishing. It haunt you, and I think he brings so much stuff, and thanks to the way he directed, the way the cast worked together, he gets so many great performances for Al Pacino, who Robert De Niro one of the earlier role he ever had. And it did an ending that did haunt you to this day, so I had to go with Godfather Part 2. I will call myself a cinema fan, and I can't not mention one of my favorite movies all the time.
Yeah. Can you imagine the chaos that would ensue if we all denied Francis Ford Coppola for spot on this list?
Oh, we should do
it. but no, I can't in good conscience do that. I've only recently seen the first two Godfathers for the first time last year, and they're great movies. and I don't really want to enrage Kirk at all. So I'm saying yes to Francis Ford Coppola. Chad, what do you say for Francis Ford Coppola?
Yeah, this is definitely one of the seminal mafia films, one of the best like sequels ever. And they just take it and have like Robert De Niro come in to play like, Marlon Brando's character earlier, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just brilliant. All the performances in this one. It's like what, 3.5 hours long. It doesn't super feel it because it's so great. And I've only seen it once, but I really need to go back and watch this one again because it really is one of the best movies ever made. So yes.
Manning, what do you say for Francis Ford Coppola?
I wish this was for Apocalypse Now. Personally, I think that is his best work that I have seen. But I want Francis Ford Coppola just for what he's done for Simina.
It's
Excuse
Simina.
me. I'm gonna try that again. Simon.
Aren't you the cinema? Aren't you
okay?
Aren't
Am
you
I
the
okay?
Cinnamon?
I am the Cinnamon, Cinnabon, Cinemat. Yeah, yes. Just Francis Ford Coppola. Yes, it's a great movie.
If that Francis Coppola makes the list, Dylan, what would you have said?
Yeah, it's an obvious yes. For him to only win, I think, for this one and no other films is crazy to me. But it's got to make the list. Yeah.
I'm just shocked he did win for the first one. Like that,
Yeah.
like
Cabaret.
So on me, questions, I go for one of the obvious ones people are expecting me to go with, or I go out of left field. I'm going to go out of left field for now. I know we did talk about Bong Joon-ho being relatively recent. I'm going for the super recent one because I'm going for Chloe Zhao. I've recently watched Nomadland for the first time the other day. It is a great movie. The directing is great, and this is one of those cases. I do want to see a female represented here, and I just haven't seen the movie the other one was nominated and won for. So I'm going to go for this one by default. See what happens, but. I think Chloe Zhao deserves a piece on the list, even if China does not want to acknowledge that she won at all. But Chad, what do you say about Chloe Zhao?
Yeah, this wasn't actually my personal pick. I'm gonna say my piece. I would have went with Emerald Fennell because I love Promising Young Woman so much. However, Chloe Zhao she's just an impressive filmmaker. With The Writer, with Nomadland, and then Eternals coming out, she's gonna end up doing it all. And just like knowing, that she did this, like living in a van with Frances McDormand and all this stuff, while also filming Eternals at the same time. And it's just like the level of effort that she put into it, and also making a great movie, in the process. Is just, I don't know. It's to be commended. I agree. I definitely am glad that we're getting more women filmmakers to win like this. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of her. She's definitely great. So yes.
I mean, I wholly believe that if Chloe didn't win, it probably would have been Emerald that would run out of that bunch of fibers. Promising Young Woman's good. But anyway, Manny, what do you say about Chloe Zhao?
Okay, now this is where I'm going to have to, and I hate this because Nomadland is one of my favorite films of the year. I think because her win still is so recent, while I think it is significant for 2 reasons: second female director, one of the best. Also, three things: female director, first woman of color to win the award, and it's one of the legit best films of the year. Like, I would say yes in a heartbeat, but I'm going to have to say no solely for the fact she literally just won this past week, and I want to let that at least simmer for a bit longer. Because it is the most new. It is the most recent. I want that to simmer before I say this is the best of all time. But I'm not going to be upset if she gets on.
Dylan, what do you say about Chloe Zhao?
Yeah, I definitely want a woman to be represented on this list, and there are only 2 to choose from. And I'm not the biggest Hurt Locker fan, so by default, I would definitely nominate Chloe Zhao. It is recent, but I do think it's notable, and it's pretty obvious just from the way the whole award season played out with critics groups and smaller critic circles all awarding her, I do think she will stand that legacy. Like we said with Bong Joon-ho, there's no way of telling, but I do think she still will have that legacy. So I am going to say yes.
That's an excellent point.
With that, she does make the list. Chris, what would you have said about Chloe?
Yeah, I mean, well, Nomadland wasn't in my top 5, but was definitely my top 10 favorite movie last year. But the main teacher right there, especially some of the shots, and the fact that she got actual real life Nomad people, I think really impressed me a lot with the film. The performance she got from McDermott, and I believe David Stratton from going from, I think that everything, that's name, and that everything from this. Everything is fantastic. Didn't he also write the script for it? Right?
Yeah.
Even for the script perspective, like and not to mind, we do see each other down the road in one of my favorite lines from last. Yeah.
But
So,
with that, Chad, we go back to you.
Right. Yes. All right. Yeah. I know what I'm gonna do. All right. I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to go with Steven Spielberg, Saving Private Ryan, because I know that wasn't what you were hoping for. It's my personal favorite of the two that I was thinking of. Because of, well, not just because of the first sequence, but like that sequence is like one of the most edge of your seat, sequences in film history. And just for me, just like watching it every time, I'm like, oh yeah, this is really crazy and brutal, and it still holds up, and it's probably always going to hold up. But then you get like the rest of the film, which is still so great, and like, every actor in that movie is just selling it so hard. And like it's weird because it's like a weird concept where you're like, you're risking all this for like one guy, and then they explain that and then everyone in the film is also like, what? And it's just like, when you get like such like a candid like kind of ad-libbed performance from a young Matt Damon, and it's just one of the, most like touching moments, and grounded moments in the film. And it's just, I don't know, just everything with that movie is just like one of the best war films ever made. I love it. And yeah.
Manning, what do you say about Spielberg for Saving Private Ryan?
I do agree. It is one of the best war films made of all time. That being said, I think those first 20 or so minutes are the best. They are the best and from a direction standpoint, they're the best thing Steven Spielberg has done from a direction standpoint, just those few minutes. But in the 2.5, 3 hours that is Schindler's List, I think there is a more diverse, there is a more like, interesting amount of direction that he is doing and pulling off in Schindler's List. But I want to make sure he gets on this list. So right now, you know what? I'm going to be cruel and leave it up to my other panelists. So I'm going to say no because I want to see what everyone else says.
Dylan, what do you say about Spielberg for Saving Private Ryan?
Well, I mean, my personal favorite would be Schindler's List. I do want him on this list as well. But again, I think I will say no just because I do love his other movies so much more. And because if you look at who he was up against, I probably would have put Roberto Benigni for Life is Beautiful or Peter Weir for Truman Show above him personally, just because I love those movies more. Huge Jim Carrey fan, Chad, you know that. But yeah, I would give Steven Spielberg the other movie, but I'm going to say no on this one.
Chris, what do you say about Spielberg for Saving Private Ryan?
Chad, we're hoping you would do Schindler's List because a lot of things I've already just seen it recently this past year. I love Schindler's List more, and that honestly the best Spielberg directing movie. And I think it's for it when we eventually bring up why, but yeah, I do have to say no.
Yeah, I'm also going to say no. I'm not the biggest Saving Private Ryan fan. I'm of the belief that Shakespeare in Love deserved Best Picture that year.
Hell yeah, dude! Nice respect. I wanted to see how it would play out. I knew it would probably go that way. It's fine.
Yeah, this is what I'm going to have to say no as well, because I actually agree with Dylan. I think Peter Weir deserved it for the Truman Show more.
Not a bad choice.
But with that, we go to Manning. Manning was the next one you're going to bring up.
You learn something about your panelists every single day. And today I did not know that you thought that Shakespeare and the Saving Private Ryan was not one of your favorite films. I've learned that. But I do think, Peter Weir, excellent choice. That would have been a great win. But anyway, I'm going to go back. Everyone knows that I'm a guy who likes classic film. And we're filling this list up fast. And I want to ensure that we have a lot of representation back from the pre-50s era, near the golden age of Hollywood. And there is no better representation. What I think is the best directed film of all time. Some people may consider it dated, but to me, it is an historical classic that sits above all the others. I believe this is 1942. I could be very wrong. I am very bad with dates when it comes to movies and everything. Not my forte. But I'm going to go with Michael Curtiz in directing Casablanca. Casablanca is one of my favorite films of all time, if not one of my favorite, if not like the top 5 of all time, and just gets better and better with age. And I think what Michael Curtiz managed to create is a film that has stood the test of time, a film that you just want to watch and you'd be like, ugh, here's looking at you, kid, or we'll always have Paris, or play it again, Sam, play as time goes by, or this is the beginning of beautiful friendship, or round up the usual suspects, all lines from something that has been made with Michael Curtiz. An inventive film and something that we can watch to this day and be like, wow, this is what classic cinema is. So Michael Curtiz, Casablanca.
I'm sure if Andrew James Sparrow was on the panel, he would have said Michael Curtiz should have won the year before for Yankee Doodle Dandy. But that being said, sure. Dylan, what do you say?
I don't think Dill has seen this one.
No, I've seen it. I have it right behind my 40th anniversary Blu-ray here. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I love this movie so much. It is one of my favorite movies. I think it is the most quotable movie I've ever seen. The one I quote the most, at least, or the one that I think has the most quotes in it. If you look at the AFI top 100 quotes, there's like 8 of them from this movie. That's like almost 10% of the list. That's 8% of the list because it's 100. There's math. But yeah, I would. Yes, 100%.
Chris, what do you say for Michael Curtiz for Casablanca?
There's my list of favorite movie all time. I have to say it. I love Casablanca. Quotable, funny, intense, great romance. The gambling line still coming to this day. I try to just play down because gambling. You use savings to think. I just love this film. From acting standpoint to directing standpoint, it's all directed to hell. For even a black and white movie. There was some shot that thing when you look Danny Sean and everything. So yeah. I keep going to my favorite movie all time list because we hit 2 so far.
Yeah, this is an easy yes for me as well. There's not really much more I can add. Chad, what do you say about Michael Curtiz from Casablanca?
Yeah, I've seen this one a long time ago. I don't remember too much about it, to be honest, but like it's definitely one of the most widely regarded films of all time. So it's one I definitely want to revisit soon. But yeah, I probably would have given it a yes anyways.
But with that, Michael Curtiz does make this list, and we go to Dylan.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the classic era right now. I will say the common thread between these 6 that we have chosen is that they all also won Best Picture. And I think it's also notable to award or recognize the directors that didn't win Best Picture but won Best Director. And for me, one of the notable ones, notable Best Picture snubs is The Graduate, and Michael Nichols won for The Graduate. I would give him a spot on this list just because I think the direction in that movie, it is such a simple premise, but he makes it so complex through his use of, camera angles and, pacing and tone, and just everything is so well done, and his choice of soundtrack and when to drop what music. I know, Chad, you're a big soundtrack guy. Like, it is such a amazing soundtrack, and I think the director has, he didn't write the songs, but he decided where the songs went along with the editing and all that. But it's one of the best films to never win Best Picture, in my opinion, and he is definitely deserving. So Mike Nichols for The Graduate. Yep.
Chris, what do you say for Mike Nichols for The Graduate?
I have not seen the whole movie. I've seen most of it. I had seen enough to say yes. I loved Graduate. The last shot is perfect directing standpoint. No dialogue, but that look, and you don't know how, where it's going to end up at it. So, not my favorite movie of the list so far, I will say yes, because the Pacino, the performance is great, the line, and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is an easy yes for me as well. I like what Michael Nichols did with The Graduate. It's just a really interesting movie and just one that I will go back to eventually. I just haven't had a chance to go back to it in recent times. But Chad, what would you have said about Mike Nichols?
This is one I sadly have not seen, so I must hang my head on this one and then go see it later.
Tonight.
Maybe.
Manning, what do you say about Mike Nichols?
Muted.
Yep, I realize that. I scoot my chair over and I mute it for 1 second. I always forget. This is a recurring theme with me. Hot take. Well, not a hot take, personal take, I guess. I don't care for The Graduate that much. For something about it, did not. I know, right? Wow. No. It just didn't click for me personally. But the fact that, to me, the most interesting fun stat. That's the only Oscar it won. And just for that stat alone, the fact that it won just Best Director and nothing else is the weirdest thing. And I would have said yes, but mainly because of the significance that it was. Even if we were talking about the movie in of itself, I would have said no, because it didn't win, obviously. But if it did win, hypothetically, I would have said no, because I think the direction is better than the movie in and of itself, mainly because I think what he does is really interesting and creative and different, while even the movie itself may not be as enjoyable for me.
But for that, Chris, what is your next nomination?
So we have a lot so far, but I have yet to notice we don't have a comic yet. So I know you pulled one that I love. I thought more recently that back here did the people egging me on to see it for a long time. And it's directed by a director that I started to really love going back martial arts time. I go with Billy Wilder, where the one for the year 1960 for 33rd for The Apartment. This is one of the best comedies I ever seen from back then. Like, I laughed my ass off watching some three for start to finish. Shane McClane, Cat Lemon, great. The Lawton comedy, especially the stuff with that Lennon in his workplace, that he getting cold and he gets the cold and he had to make all the cold, like trying to take medicine for it. Like, I laughed my ass off all the time, and it's big directing for Billy Wilder. He is a phenomenal director. He need a comedy in here. I had to go with the one that I'm happy I finally let to all the records that have been telling me to watch it for a long time. And this is one of the best comedy I ever seen that one, but that picture. So yeah, I had to go with another film for my favorite movie all time. Let's see The Apartment.
I have never seen The Apartment. It's never been widely available in streaming for me. When I get around to finding it, I'm going to watch it. But at the stage, I'm not going to pirate it. Chad, what do you say about Billy Wilder for The Apartment?
I actually had to watch this recently because me and Dill are both part of Dan's movie club on his Patreon, Dan Merle. So we actually watched this recently, and I really enjoyed this movie. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was hilarious or anything. So I don't know about like the big comedy aspect of it, but I really loved the performances, the arc of Jack Lemmon in it, and I just thought the concept was brilliant. The love story was brilliant. And Billy Wilder's just I feel like this dude needs to be on this list. We can't nominate him for like Sunset Boulevard, which is another great film, because that didn't win, or he didn't win for that, did he? So basically, I just have to say yes for Billy Wilder, but also I think this is a great movie. I actually should revisit it soon again.
Manning, what do you say about Billy Wilder?
Oh, this is an absolute yes. Like, this is an absolute yes. The Apartment is one of my favorite films, again, of all time. Look at this. It's like we're just picking. Thanks, guys, for picking the films I love. I adore The Apartment for everything that Chris was saying. It is a genuinely funny movie. It's not one of those gut punching movies to me personally, but the humor and the situation the characters find themselves in from Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine is just it is one that I can go and have a smile on my face. It's a nice human drama while not forgetting the comedy aspect. So yes, absolutely, I would have done this for picture as well too if it came down to it.
And Dylan, what you have said about Billy Wilder for The Apartment?
Yeah, I, like Chad, watched this week for the first time, and it's like one of those feelings when you're watching a movie and you know it's just going to be one of your all-time favorites while you're watching it, and you're like, oh, I love this.
Yes.
That's how I felt. As an Italian, the tennis racket pasta strainer was the only part that I really cringed at, but no, I loved the movie. It is one of my all-time favorites, and I just watched it this week. That just shows the impact it has on me. I think Billy Wilder himself also belongs on this list. I think there might be a movie or two that I like better than The Apartment of his, but it's apples and oranges. I love him and his direction, so I would say yes.
All right, we've got 4 spots left.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd be amiss if I didn't go for this one. I'm going to go for one of my favorite directors who's directed a great geek trilogy of all time. I'm going for Sir Peter Jackson for Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. Look, I don't really need to explain why it belongs here. What he did with Lord of the Rings alone is enough. Like, he managed to put a lot of detail into these movies. He made sure the script was right. Like, he showed he's a big fan of this book series. Full stop. And the fact that Return of the King is one of the few movies that alone has won all the awards it was nominated for that year, is just shows how much he deserves to be on this list, because he deserves Best Director for Return of the King. And the only one he missed out on the nomination was Two Towers. So Chad, what do you say about Sir Peter Jackson?
Yeah, so I mean, like, you know, I didn't like really grow up with these movies, but I have seen them, and you know, they're all fantastic, especially the first one. And you know, this one, whether you think the third one is the best one or not, you know, it's kind of a legacy award for just his you know, big epic trilogy, which is just fantastic. Whether you're like, you know, a huge Lord of the Rings nerd or just a film fan, you know, you can find something in these movies that you just love. And you know, just the way he, you know, went to New Zealand and just made these like amazing films, just you know, just the scale of them, the amount of like actors, and even like going and looking at, you know, his take on like the Hobbits, you can see, you know, the contrast between, you know, when he uses actually like a lot of like bunch of real actors and not as much CGI and stuff, and you can see why these were so brilliantly made. And you know, so I feel like, you know, he has to, just for any of those films. I don't know which one your favorite is, you know, mine's probably the first one, but you know, I feel like he has to be on this list, you know, because they're so epic.
Manning, what do you say about Sir Peter Jackson?
Well, first off, Chad said it right. It's so epic. Like, it needs to be on the list for that. I have one that I'm going to do, and there was only one other person I was going to say yes to. Okay, 2 other people I was only going to say yes to until I got this person on, or at least tried to, and one of those is Peter Jackson. So good on you, Malcolm, representing New Zealand. Yeah, this movie, when I talked about how there are a few epics that were made after David Lean's Lawrence of Arabia winning Best Director, this is one of those epics, not in the traditional sense of swords and sandals, but of pure high fantasy, just pure fantasy. And this is, as Chad again said, a legacy award more than anything else. This was, hey, we didn't give it to you Fellowship, we didn't give it to you for Two Towers, we're going to give it to you for The Return of the King, because what you have done to create just what could have been like just a really fun blockbuster popcorn summer flick turned into something that was even it was a cultural phenomenon. Like as Titanic was the year that came out, Lord of the Rings spawned so much. The Hobbit trilogy. What do you think about the Hobbit trilogy? Whatever you think about that, the Lord of the Rings it captured the cultural zeitgeist, and to this day, it has done the same thing while creating quality film, and it deserved, in my opinion, all 11 of those Oscars. As Steven Spielberg himself said, it's a clean sweep. So this is a yes for me.
Dylan, what do you say about Sir Peter Jackson?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite trilogies of all time. I actually like the whole 6-film Middle Earth series as a whole. I mean, the last 3, I mean, the Hobbits aren't as good, obviously, as the Lord of the Rings, but I love them all just because of this world that he builds, that he brings to life. Everything about it, amazing. I would say yes, for sure. Whoop.
And lastly, Chris, what would you have said about Peter Jackson?
It's tough because I love Peter Jackson. He only had 4 spots left, and there are a bunch of legends hanging throughout what I wanted to get on here. But we already said yes, what is in order. We have all I only have what is it yet, but we down to 4 now 3 spots left, and there are a few legends hanging throughout. We don't have a lot of them. Yeah.
But Chad, we've got 3 spots left. Who are you going to try and get on?
I'm torn between 2, and I was like in this spot the last Rankum I did, and I regretted everything immediately, but I'm so torn. But I feel like I have to go with my horror guts because like these never ever get nominated, and I just feel like because the Academy doesn't respect horror as much as they should, I feel like I have to nominate the horror choice. So I'm going to go with Jonathan Demme for Silence of the Lambs because, you know, this film is just epic. I mean, you know, every time I rewatch it, I just, you know, fall in love with it all over again. It's creepy as hell. You know, you have, you know, what's his face from Monk being, you know, Buffalo Bill, and, you know, that shit's creepy. And, you know, just Anthony Hopkins. I mean, you know, he just won for The Father, and this is the other one that he won. And just like the dynamic between him and Clarice in this movie is just some of the best on-screen like chemistry, I think. And it's just, you know, and then the Hannibal show that came after, it's just like you have kind of a similar like dynamic between him and Will. And I love that so much. So I don't know. It's just like all the performances with it. It's just like one of the, you know, best horror films to be nominated. You know, whether you call it a horror or a thriller, I call it I call it a horror. But yeah, I just think he did a terrific job with this, and it was the only movie that could have won that year, I think.
Manning, what do you say about Jonathan Demme? And you're muted.
I'm sorry, I had to get myself more water. I'm talking makes me thirsty. I already drank that whole bottle. Okay, so this is another pickle that I find myself in. I'm always in pickles at Rankum. The pickle that I find myself in is that Jonathan Demme is on my honorable mentions list. He's someone that I wanted to highlight, and I have people on my other list that I wanted to make sure that I got on first. So for that fact alone, whilst giving the crowning achievement I can to Jonathan Demme's work into creating a very accessible horror film / thriller, not in the traditional horror sense, but something that was almost psychological in a way, in a horror of the mind, not just blood and gore and scream masks chasing you, but something with an actual psychological bent with a deep, it gets into your psychosis. And Silence of the Lambs is something I utterly adore, and over time I just love it more. But just for the fact that there's other ones I want to get on here, it's gonna have to be a no.
Dylan, what do you say about Jonathan Demme for Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah, I love the direction. I again, like Manning, I have other movies and directors I want to talk about, and it's almost like we've flown through so many amazing ones that like I don't want to just cut this conversation short just because there are so many other directors to talk about that I'm gonna say no, but I do love it. And Silence of the Lambs is an all-time great. So yes, thank you, Chad, for bringing it up, but it's a no for me.
Chris, what would you have said? What do you say about Jonathan Demme?
Yeah, I mean, I love him much. I love Silent and Chad. I kind of think that the link directed that to the Bond most time of the movie, which I think that. But it's still a thing I have to think about because I feel like because there's so many other men he directed that I don't want to fall to tell us. And yeah, much I love Dan Glenn, and much I love Hard, they're not directed right here first before science.
And yeah, I mean, I enjoy Silence of the Lambs, but I would have given this a no because I mean, there's only 3 spots left, and there's a few people I think are more deserving to get on. And personally, I think either John Singleton, Ridley Scott, or Oliver Stone should have won Best Director that year. Personally, Manning, what is your next nomination?
Another hot take, Malcolm. Another hot take. I wanted to make sure that this had the shot. I'm not guaranteed it being on, but I wanted to give him a shot because he has done another director who has done 2 fantastic works. And usually I've noticed some of these directors will get 2 Oscar wins, and you can pick between the 2 of them, juggle if you will. We haven't mentioned either of these, but like this is one that I truly believe is just one of the all-time greats. This is one that just. The direction is not as flashy, but it's also subtle at the same time. He transitions between these stories so well. And even if it's just, in fact, this was just talked about on the last Top 10 live show, for those who know. And this is Amadeus by, is it Milo Forman or Milos Forman?
Milos.
It is, okay, Milos Forman. Okay, because I've heard both, and I still to this day do not know, because I've yet to see an interview with the man. So Foreman, what he made is something that I truly believe is an accessible piece of art. It is genuine art, and it's not a fluffy period piece. As much as I love the King's Speech, I adore the King's Speech, I adore Remains of the Day, that entire thing. It's very dynamic, it's very modern for the 80s at least, but it is a movie that was made for that time. And Foreman created something that I think, and personally, is a better directed film than One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They can argue about picture purposes, but from a direction standpoint, he had a lot more to do. And I feel this is a worthy and very, not odd choice, but off the wall pick for traditional Oscar voters. So I'm going to put Foreman for Amadeus.
Dylan, what do you say about Milos Forman for Amadeus?
Yeah, I had the same struggle of like which one should I like bring up, Amadeus or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Manning did the easy job. Thank you so much. Yeah, I would nominate him. I want him on the list in general. I really don't know which direction I like better. I do agree, though, Amadeus was kind of a harder beast to tame, a harder picture to pull off because it is so long. But again, it's so well paced that it doesn't feel that long. The performances are great, what he gets out of those actors. Another movie I love of his, Man on the Moon. I'm just a big fan of him and his direction. So I will say yes to this.
Chris, what do you say about Milos Forman for Amadeus?
I had not seen Amadeus. I think One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. We were talking about this, which I said yeah. But I have yet to see Amadeus, and I have a hard time finding it anywhere streaming. They're on my list to watch.
Yeah, I've also never seen Amadeus, sadly. Chad, what do you say about Milos Forman for Amadeus?
Do I count here?
I mean, if you've seen it, you can.
I have.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, but I think it'll go in the favor of yes. If I said no. Anyways, well, actually, is that true? Because am I a deciding factor at all?
Malcolm?
Well, let's put it this way. If you say no, it's going to make it on anyway. Yeah. Because
that's what I was.
Mine and Chris's votes don't count because we've never seen it. So.
Yeah, because if my vote would have counted, I would have said no out of spite. But yes, I definitely would have fucking said no out of spite. However, I did really enjoy this film. I actually saw it at the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, and it was pretty dope. It was all right. It was a pretty good movie. I don't think it's like this masterpiece that everybody is talking about. That Silence of the Lambs actually is. But, I don't matter. So don't matter here. So sure.
No, Chad, you matter. You matter.
Thanks, bro.
But with that, Milos Forman makes it on. Dylan, what is your next nomination?
I can't, risk this not getting on the list. I'm gonna nominate Steven Spielberg for Schindler's List. I just feel like he's my favorite director. So the fact that he made two two Best Director winning films. Saving Private Ryan didn't win. But yeah, I think I would like him to be on the list. I know I said no for him for Saving Private Ryan only because I just saw it recently and it didn't reel me in as much as it has some of his other films. But I do think Schindler's List is his greatest direction achievement. I think there are other films of his that I rewatch more and that I go back to more, obviously because Schindler's List is a hard watch, but I think it is probably the best of its kind that there is, and I just think his direction is superb, and it's shocking that it took that long for him to even get one in the first place. So I am going Steven Spielberg for Schindler's List.
Chris, what do you say about Spielberg for Schindler's List?
So I went to this on right when we were talking about Saving Private Ryan. I love Schindler's List. This is a film that I can never go back and rewatch it because I thought watching it. But his directing, especially the Go in the Red Draft sequence, so haunts me to this day. Like, and the ending, like, I'm not sure if you caught the final scene where all the real life actors and the actors that played them put this stone on Schindler's grave. But that silence and music is one of those things that hit me hard. Especially the scene before when I was go, I could have taken more and the way director did it. Maybe that hit all that they also okay, like phenomenal performance. Lee Nathan, fine. Ben Kingsley, like everybody in the film give up phenomenal script, phenomenal directing. So yeah, the legendary director I had to say yes to this, but this is the right choice.
Yeah, so this is where it's difficult for me. Because I know that if Spielberg makes it and there's only going to be one spot left and it might not get back to me. So I might have to play strategy a little bit. So I'm going to say no because Jane Campion, the New Zealander, should have won for the piano. But no. I like Spielberg for direction for Schindler's List, but there is someone else I think deserves a spot on this list, and I'm worried we're not going to get him on here. So I'm going to say no. Chad.
Did Chris say yes?
Chris said yes, I think.
Okay, yeah. So it's most likely going to make it on anyways. But that being said, I probably would have said yes even if my vote counted here, because just the weight of this movie.
Well, I mean it does count because Chris said yes, I said no. So
yeah, but I think if Manning says yes, then it makes it. And I'm pretty sure he's going to say yes because of his previous Spielberg comments. Anyways, I'm just going to say yes anyways because I agree. I think that Spielberg needs to be on this list. I don't know if I agree that this is the best direction he's ever done, because you got E.T. and Jaws and stuff like that on there. But, when you have just the weight of this movie, I remember watching this and just yeah, it is really hard to get to, but just the amount of work he did with this one, and then making sure it was shown unedited on cable and stuff like that, just the amount of respect he has for the content of the movie, and when you watch it, it's just it has so much weight. I know I'm gonna say weight 1,000 times, but it's true. You can't not watch this, and you can't watch this and not be affected by this. So, I definitely just got to say yes to it.
Which means it makes the list anyway. Manning, your vote doesn't matter, but what would you have said?
Thank you, Malcolm. It actually would have been a lot more difficult for me because we only have two spots left, and there are still other people. Well, now we only have one. But that's why I was very hesitant. I love Spielberg so much from what he means to me and all film fans, but this is still two spots left, and I'm also going to play strategic, but I probably would have said yes in the end, even though it would have been a very hesitant yes.
Interesting. Damn.
Yes.
But Chris, what is your next nomination?
I am torn between three directors right now. Should I go with the one that's obvious? Or should I go with
Roll a die.
I kind of go with out like you're probably didn't know, but a movie that I will really impressed by the directing one twice in the past decade, and I choose the one that I love more. I'm going with, hold on, I tell you, try not to butcher his name. Alejandro G. Inarritu for Birdman.
Okay.
Long title is so funny. I think from a directing standpoint, especially his one-shot takes, it's really impressive for a film that until 1917 came out and Revenant came out, you don't see a lot of film in it. Especially Michael Keaton performing, Edward Norton performing, and Stone performing. It shot especially in New York, and in New York myself, I fell in love with the film, especially the theater and the way he directed the film. So I have to go out last year. I know it did get shot down, but there's so many good choices. I want to be on something different than what we should usually say.
I'm going to have to say no. Look, honestly, I do like the Birdman. I think the direction is great in it. I just don't think he gets talked about much anymore when it comes to his directing for Birdman. I think a lot of people praise Birdman for like Keaton's performance and stuff like that, but I think his directing has kind of not been talked about anymore. And I'm just going to say no because there's one person that should be on here, which that needs to be you, Chad.
Yeah, so I have 3 points here. So I just noting the vibe of this crowd, I'm pretty sure this has no chance in hell. Also, well, I will say that I do love the one take shot. I mean that's just a guilty pleasure of mine every single time that happens. I think it was done better in 1917. That's not an option here. But also another point is that I don't even think he should have won. I think Damien Chazelle for Whiplash should have won that year. However, yeah, well, I don't even know what my third point was, but yeah. So there's way more people that I feel like should be on the last spot. Yeah, exactly. He should have been and should have won, I think. So no, sorry. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen Whiplash, but I don't think the Imitation Game director deserved to be nominated that year, personally. But Maddie, what do you say about Alejandro Inarritu?
Okay, Morton Tilden did fine direction for The Imitation Game. Just throwing that out there, defending that. I like that movie a lot. I wouldn't nominate him, but it was good. Anyway, that's beside the point. This is interesting. I would have loved. This is hindsight 2020 and everything. I would have loved to have seen what the stuff we talked about later is going to be and how we would have talked about it at the beginning, because I might have debated this or The Revenant, because I feel like back-to-back directing Oscars are nothing to just shy away from. I think they're both technically brilliant. Well, I think the films are good at best. I think they're technically brilliant, but I'm going to have to say no, just because there are other movies on here that I want to get, and I don't think this is going to rank in the all-time. People are not going to say The Revenant and Birdman are the best all-time directed films. Personally, for me, I don't see that transpiring, but I could be wrong.
And Dylan, what would you say about Alejandro Inarritu?
Yeah, I think his direction is the best part of Birdman for me. I love the direction of it. I think it's just so innovative and so unique, especially in the confines, mostly in one theater, just being able to, stage it and choreograph it so you can really like see the ins and outs in the theater. It's always so intentional and purposeful. I really like this movie and I love his direction. I actually would have given him Best Director. If Damien Chazelle was in the race, maybe I would have also given Damien Chazelle. But over Wes Anderson for Grand Budapest, Richard Linklater for Boyhood, those were the three names that were really being thrown around. I still think this is the strongest of that group, but it would be a no for me for this list.
Yeah. It's on to me, and I'm going to nominate Tom Hooper for Cats. So he won Best Picture at the Razzies, so he's not going to be nominated.
Poor Tom.
But also, I mean, he did win an Oscar, but he's not who I'm going to go. He's not who I'm going for. It's a crime this director took this long to win a Best Director Oscar. I'm going for Martin Scorsese for The Departed. While this may not be what he should have won it for, he did a great job at directing The Departed. I mean, he does a great job directing all his crime movies anyway, but what he did with Departed is just amazing, and I think he deserves to take up this final spot on this list. Chad, what do you say about Scorsese for The Departed?
I think I'll probably be voted down, but I'm not a huge Scorsese fan. I think he's a pretty good director. I don't think he's a great one. And I don't really like The Departed all that much, to be honest. So yeah, I'm gonna say no for sure.
Manning, what do you say about Scorsese for The Departed?
I gotta agree with Chad. I'm not a big Departed fan. I think it is. I think he won for factors related to we haven't given you something here, but it's also a good movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I just don't think it's the one he should have won for. Personally, I think he is a phenomenal. Scorsese is a phenomenal director at what he does, and most of his crime films. I don't go toward it. Now Silence. If we're talking about Silence, personally, it's one of my best favorite films of all time that he is, in general. Sadly, I got one Oscar nomination, so that's neither here nor there. Is that going to be a no? Just because I respect Scorsese enough to not want this to be his representation for all time. Maybe he'll win something else down the future.
Dylan, what do you say about Scorsese?
Yeah, it's interesting because if we were just doing top 12 directors, period, I think he'd be the first, second, or third person mentioned. But if we are going for best Oscar-winning directors, again, like I love The Departed, but it's still like maybe my 6th or 7th all-time Scorsese, just because he has done so many great movies. So it is a no for me, but I do love that moment where George Lucas, I think it was Francis Ford Coppola and Steven Spielberg all presented him the award because they just knew he was going to win it, and the three of them all giving him the award. It was so awesome to see. So I do think it's one of my favorite wins, just seeing him win an award. But for the actual direction of the movie itself, I think I would have gone for another film over this. But I do think it's good. I do like it. But I would say no, just because again, there are so many other directors to talk about. So I'm going to say no.
And Chris, what would you say about Scorsese?
Yeah, this is tough because he was in my top 12, but it really down. I wouldn't say it. It really say no. I mean, I love The Departed. I love Scorsese. I mean, I would have rather him won for Goodfellas and Wolf of Wall Street. Casino, like some of these other films. But I wouldn't say him, but Sally, they vote now.
But with that, we go back to Chad. Chad, can you fill up that final spot?
I don't know, but I gotta say it. I am surprised. I did not expect that at all. Yeah, I mean, I especially thought Dill was gonna say yes because I know he likes The Departed a lot. But, anyways, I don't know if I can fill it, but I do have one that I really wanted to do. If I hadn't done Silence of the Lambs, I don't know if this is gonna make it. We'll see. But I feel like this is one of the biggest robberies of Best Picture ever, and I don't even really love this filmmaker like in general, but just like this for this one movie, I gotta go Ang Lee Brokeback Mountain. I don't know. It's just every single time I forget why it's so great, and then I rewatch it, and then I go, holy shit! This is like one of the best movies I've ever seen, and so many people like write it off as the gay cowboy movie, and I just feel like that's so reductive, and every time I see it, I just love it so much. Just Heath Ledger, I think this is his best performance. He did the Joker like one of the best. So, and I'm just like, every time I watch it, just he's so great in it. And I'm a huge Jake Gyllenhaal fan. That actually hasn't been played into my decision, because I just think, just putting so much weight on this relationship, and then this, like the sweater or whatever or the jacket that he smells like at the end, and there's just so much, like, I'm saying weight again. There's so much weight in that one moment that I'm just like, just that performance, it just grips me every time. And and then you have like the great performances with Michelle Williams and Anne Hathaway, and even Linda Cardellini's great in this movie. It's just like, I don't know, I just love this movie so much. The way they build the relationship, and they just have to never have it fully realized is just heartbreaking. And I just feel like Ang Lee crushed this.
Manning, what do you say about Ang Lee for Brokeback Mountain?
Ang Lee is one of the most versatile directors that we have ever, I think, had in this space, from Sense and Sensibility to Brokeback Mountain to Life of Pi, to Lord knows what else he's done. I'm blanking on, but he's a versatile director nonetheless. I have not seen Brokeback Mountain. So that is, it is one of my big, actually, I think 2005, the year in general, is a big blind spot. I haven't seen Crash. That entire year is just,
you don't have
that entire year is a blind spot. So I have to pass up on this, which is hilarious, because my girlfriend just watched Brokeback today and said, you need to watch it. It's amazing. So now, so it's a small world after all.
Hopefully I didn't spoil anything for you. It's great.
Oh, no, I kind of know just what's going to happen in the gist of it, but so no need. I know how some stuff's going to play out, so it's totally okay.
Dylan, what do you say about Brokeback Mountain?
This would have been the next one I would have brought up. So I definitely will say yes. I love two things. One, he made a movie about a topic that was not fully embraced by the Academy very much at that point. Homosexuality being that topic, and just something that even if you weren't homosexual, you could still relate to it, because it wasn't necessarily just about the fact that they were the same sex. It was the fact that, there was this romance and this secret and this, living two double lives almost. And that's what makes it special. It's not what it was the, actual structure of the relationships themselves. And two, up till 2005, we hadn't seen a director of color win ever. Ang Lee was the first in 2005. So it took 78 years to get a director of color, and we've seen a bunch since, Iñárritu, we mentioned, Bong Joon-ho, Chloe Zhao, but I think this really set the stage for more diversity amongst the best picture or best director winners. So I would definitely say yes to this.
Chris, what do you say about Ang Lee for Brokeback Mountain?
I have two more to say. I haven't seen that much of Brokeback Mountain at the same time, I wish he would have brought up his other movie. I love Life of Pi a lot, and I think what he did there in terms of directing and visually directed is stunning for the target and everything. But I have to say at the same time now, but not that same time.
Yeah, which means I think, regardless of what I say, Ang Lee's going to make this list.
Makes it. Wow.
But yeah, I'm in two minds of this. I personally think he should have won for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon earlier.
Right.
But out of the people that were nominated this year, like it was George Clooney, Paul Haggis for Crash, Bennett Miller for Capote, and Spielberg again. I think out of those movies, I think he was probably the most deserving one to win out of this in this bunch. I can't think of any other movie that would have been. I think Walk the Line was this year, was it? I'm surprised that wasn't nominated
For Ang Lee? I don't think so. Was it?
It was either this year or the year after.
It was,
That was
this year.
Good Night, Good Luck. Oh, okay.
Because it wasn't nominated for Best Picture, but Reese Witherspoon won Best Actress in 2005.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so
And Capote is also a dope movie, by the way.
You like a
Yeah.
lot of the movie.
But yeah, I mean, but yes, surprised. I'm now surprised that James Mangold wasn't even nominated. But with that being said, we have closed off the list. We have out
Wow.
12 on the short list. Just to recap who we've got there, we're going to talk about some honorable mentions. Bong Joon-ho, David Lean, James Cameron, Francis Ford Coppola, Chloe Zhao, Michael Curtiz, Mike Nichols, Billy Wilder, Peter Jackson, Milos Forman, Spielberg, and Ang Lee. Such a diverse group as well. But Dylan, did you have any honorable mentions?
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Besides the ones we talked about, David Lean for Bridge on the River Kwai. I also had on my list Damien Chazelle for La La Land. I know it gets some flack because that big Oscar flub for Best Picture, but I do like that. And then the Coen brothers for No Country for Old Men.
Chris, did you have any honorable mentions?
Yes, in some of the music, Dylan brought a different one, but I read about Jerome Baldwin about the life of West Side Story. Seems to make it back to that beautiful Dimitri Del Toro for Shape of Water. Ethan Bobby to 20 for No Country for Old Men. Gibson for Great Heart, Conceived for Unforgiven. And Director Platoon. The thing, like, there's a bunch of the kind of music, like, I kind of call myself musical fan without being a fan of music. I got a lot on my list. It's been tough. I think they're going to be my next, like, not left field choice.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, like I mentioned, like I also had Damien Chazelle, Del Toro. I did have Tom Hooper for The King's Speech on my list. Look, love him or hate him, I was considering bringing up Roman Polanski. So I do think he did great for The Pianist. Ron Howard for Beautiful Mind. Robert Zemeckis for Forrest Gump. I'm actually surprised didn't come up. And the last one I will probably mention is as an outlier, Carol Reed for Oliver. I love Oliver, and I was surprised to find out that this person did win direct, but I probably would have brought her up. But Chad, any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I mean, like going off of that, the problematic people, I have to reluctantly say that I think Annie Hall is great with Woody Allen. But my actual ones I wrote down because I wasn't going to nominate him. Barry Levinson, Rain Man, Clint Eastwood, Unforgiven, Robert Zemeckis, Forrest Gump, James Cameron made it. Sam Mendes, American Beauty, Clint Eastwood, $1 Million Baby. I love that movie. Alfonso Cuarón, Gravity and Roma. And I also had Inarritu for Birdman and The Revenant. And yes, Adil, Damien Chazelle, La La Land, he directed the shit out of that movie. No one can take that away from him. And that was it.
And actually, one person I did forget to mention, Fred Zinnemann for Man for All Seasons.
I was going to ask about that.
Manning, any honorable mentions?
Yes, there are a couple, only a few that I had. I don't want to make it too long because I know that I thought we'd be a lot longer tonight, but we had a lot of consensus. It seems to be the case, so I was really surprised about that. But other ones I wanted to shout out: Robert Wise for The Sound of Music, Elia Kazan for On the Waterfront, Robert Redford for Ordinary People. I really, really like that movie. Subtle direction, but it's fantastic. And Alfonso Cuarón for Roma, and Damien Chazelle for La La Land. I wanted to highlight that. I think that split was deserved that year for picture and director, personally. And it was a good for two films that were neck and neck a lot of the year. Boom, that was a perfect and that direction.
But with that being said, now we've got to rank these. So what we do is write down who we think should be at 12 on a whiteboard or bit of paper. If anything that you may have handy beside you. Chad, do you have anyone for 12?
Um. Dude, this is so hard. I'll go. Mike Nichols, The Graduate. It's 12. I didn't write anything down yet.
Manning.
I'm gonna go merely because she's just such a new winner, Chloe Zhao.
Dylan.
I went David Lean.
You hurt
Chris.
me.
I'm going to think Cameron.
Luckily, we're not going to end up on a tie because I also had closed out just for the same reasons.
Ooh.
Hey, she only just won. I mean, it's hard to put
Let
it.
it marinate like a nice fine wine. Wait, Chad, did he pick his? Wait, did you pick yours yet? Or
Yeah,
oh, okay, wow, I missed that. Okay, wanted to make sure. I thought you were still looking. Oh, oh dear.
They're all great.
1 and 2, and
I'm just second guessing myself now. Oh boy. Oh man, this is difficult.
it is, and I take into consideration films that you want for as well.
Manning, who do you have for 11?
I'm second guessing myself now. But just because I don't care for this movie in comparison to another one that he's done before, Coppola. I know, sacrilegious.
Dylan.
Yeah, only because I would have gone with Bridge on the River Kwai, sticking with David Lean.
Chris.
Only because I like this movie, but I love it. Think Cameron.
I went Spielberg.
Hell
Chad.
yeah, dude. I went with Dale, David Lean. I knew he was sticking with that.
You know, we don't reveal on people what we're doing.
I just realized I forgot this person, so here we go next.
I don't know why I waste my board. But Dylan, who do you have for 10?
Only because it's a stacked list. I went Francis Ford Coppola.
Chris.
Think Cameron. I keep you.
Steven Spielberg. Chad.
I'm down for Francis Ford Coppola here.
Manning.
Because I haven't seen it, Ang Lee. Or should I not even vote for it because I haven't seen it? Too late now.
I mean, it's up to you.
It's kind of a strategy to put the ones you haven't seen on the bottom.
That's what I've been thinking, but also at the same time, I want to give it a fair shake, and I haven't seen it.
I mean, it's one of those ones like me. For me personally, I don't vote for the ones I haven't seen, unless it's at a point where I've got
You're
ones
like,
that I think
it's not
deserve to be higher. But Chris, for who do you have for 9?
Sorry, guys, but I was quite thinking Cameron. Should be 10.
Steven Spielberg. Chad.
I went Mike Nichols.
Manning.
I'm just gonna stick with Ang Lee for now, I guess.
I said
Dylan.
Ang Lee.
Oh,
Thank you.
Ang Lee.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, hold on. I'm gonna do. No,
Yeah, the meeting, my number one, my number one, my number 10.
this is too hard. Okay.
I'm going to triple check this, but I'm pretty sure it hasn't happened. We've had
That's
best
what I was
picture,
thinking.
but I will have to triple check that. But in any case, it happened again. No one commented it on the poll, so I've got Steven Spielberg for 8. Chad.
I'll stick with Mike Nichols.
While I
Manning.
love the film, I think the direction is less as impressive. So Billy Wilder.
I went Milos Forman.
Chris.
Guys, Titanic
Oh.
is different. I'm thinking Cameron. Come on.
Oh wow!
Rich means we've got a 5-way tie. So we're going to go to the. So we're going to go to the chat. So chat. First name person I see, we've got Steven Spielberg, we've got Milos Forman, we've got. I cannot remember
Billy
the other
Wilder,
Billy Wilder,
Mike Nichols.
and Mike Nichols. And so, which one of those 5 do you think belongs? The first name I see is the one that's going to decide the vote.
Let me go tell my wife to jump in the chat real quick.
I was about to say, can I jump in the chat real fast and YouTube? No.
And it is going to be Billy Wilder.
Yep.
Mm.
I'd love the film would be higher for me, but
That should be higher.
okay.
Okay. Yeah, I just refigured what my number one going to be.
Right. But Dylan, who do you have for 7?
I'm gonna say Mike Nichols.
Chris,
Keep it to Dan Cameron. Come on, guys.
Steven Spielberg, Chad,
Yep, Mike Nichols. I didn't erase that before.
and Manning.
I'm going with Cameron actually.
Thank you, man.
Shit, dude.
So we've got a tie between Mike Nichols and James Cameron. And it is on me to decide.
I wonder what you'll pick.
You'll find out once the banner pops up.
Yeah.
I don't get the love for Cameron Titanic.
I only picked him above Nichols. I only picked Cameron over Nichols because Nichols I think is a more interesting direction, while Cameron's more impressive. If that makes any sense. So, both great. All these people are great.
Yeah, all of these people are great.
We move on to 6. Just to recap who's still on here. We've got Bong Joon-ho, James Cameron, Michael Curtiz, Peter Jackson, Milos Forman, and Spielberg. Chris, who do you have for 6?
Do you have to ask?
Now, everything is Dan Cameron.
I've still got Spielberg, Chad,
I went Milos Forman here.
Manning,
I'm still sticking with Cameron.
and Dylan.
I went Milos Forman.
Oh my!
I,
That's great.
I love it when I get to pick.
Oh no! I wonder who he's going to pick.
The 5 is gonna be fucking hard. Holy shit.
Yep.
Hey, one of the movies I've seen, the other I haven't.
Yep.
No,
Oh my God.
I mean, maybe I'm doing this for strategy. Maybe I think all the other movies are better than Schindler's List. So,
Ouch.
but Manning, who do you have for 5?
Well, I decided to take out Cameron and put James Cameron.
Dylan,
yeah, here I'll go James Cameron.
Oh, damn it.
Chris,
James Cameron.
Shut
Go.
Spielberg, Chad.
Yeah, I went Steven Spielberg here for sure.
But James Cameron is going to be 5.
We were talking about any other James Cameron movie, like Terminator, that would be a different topic.
Titanic is James Cameron's best movie.
It's a debate for another time, guys.
I mean,
Another
I've
time.
said it on many things before on my feelings about Titanic, but Dylan, what do you
It
have
is
for
great.
4?
Just because it's so recent, I picked Bong Joon-ho.
Chris,
Telling you, Peter Jackson.
you just did that to hurt me. Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, I went Steven Spielberg.
Madding.
And again, same thing that Dylan said, mainly because it is, so soon Bong Joon-ho.
Mm.
Chris, Spielberg or Bong Joon-ho at 4?
Yeah,
Ah!
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Parasite though.
Oh no, it's amazing. It's brilliant.
But 4 is not a bad spot for anybody.
Okay, what we have left?
We have got Peter Jackson, Bong Joon-ho, and Michael Curtiz.
All right. Oh, there's an obvious one for me here.
But I went Bong Joon-ho for 3.
Okay, that's gone
Yeah.
then. I went Michael Curtiz.
Manning,
And yeah, Bong Joon-ho.
Dylan,
I went Bong as well.
and Chris.
Oh. Shit,
We'll never know.
He was mad.
I mean, it doesn't matter
Oh,
because Bong is going to be Bong Joon-ho. Who did you have, Chris? Yeah, kind of. I hope I spelt his name correctly. Because
Bong Joon-ho.
He just hurt Malcolm's feelings again.
Only number 1 we're put down.
Oh, then we do number 1. That's right.
Oh yeah, thank you.
yeah,
Yes,
there we won down number
I did the
1.
same thing last time. I keep forgetting.
This is tough. Ugh.
Yeah, this is easy.
I love
Yeah, this is easy for me.
this.
And
Is
I'm
really
probably
easy for
saying
me.
the opposite of Chris here.
This is not easy.
I love both of these movies, but only one of these is really high on my best picture list. But Dylan, what do you have for number 1?
I picked Michael Curtiz.
Chris,
Michael 15.
Sir Peter Jackson, Chad,
Peter Jackson for sure.
Oh my lord.
man.
Manning.
Oh, I just want to savor this moment, leave you all in suspense, because this was not an easy decision. It
gotta
had
be
to weigh out.
Casablanca.
Listen, if I showed you my Lord of the Rings poster, I would show that, and then I would promptly apologize because it is Michael Curtiz. Ugh,
Man,
that hurt though. That was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't bring over
Solid list.
Top Water Pot to be that low.
No, it is a very solid list.
Maybe Jazz Average discuss another time about Titanic being back in Canada movie.
Yeah, after the stream. You can duke it out.
But
I did Terminator 2.
But with that being said, I'm going to recap the list. At number 12, we've got Chloe Zhao. At 11, we got David Lean from Lawrence of Arabia. At 10, we've got Francis Ford Coppola for Godfather Part 2. At 9, for Ang Lee for Brokeback Mountain. At 8, we've got Billy Wilder for The Apartment. At 7, we've got Mike Nichols for The Graduate. At 6, we've got Milos Forman for Amadeus. At 5, we've got James Cameron for Titanic. At 4, we've got Steven Spielberg for Schindler's List. At 3, we've got Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. At 2, we've got Sir Peter Jackson for Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. And at number 1, we've got Michael Curtiz for Casablanca. But with that being said, I will have a poll for what next topic is going to be up on the Facebook page shortly after this. But Chad, where can people find you online?
I do some letterbox reviews, Chadwick_Webb. I'm trying to kick it up a notch there. I do a little bit of trivia. I'm filming a match on Monday. I hope I win. And I'm trying to kick up some teams matches with my friend Dill here, maybe in Full Metal or something. I'm trying to kick it up a notch with the trivia and like all the fan leagues here around here. And then also my friend Dill also has his own YouTube channel called the Dill Pickle Movie Network. And on this YouTube channel, we co-host a show called Picture This, where we every month we go to a year of best pictures. And so we watch all the nominated best pictures in that year. And we highlight, all the history, all the nominees, and we just like go in depth and talk about like what we would have chosen. And we rank stuff. We give awards to our favorite actors and actresses of that year, and it's a really fun time. So please check it out if you're interested. Like and subscribe.
Manning, where can people find you online?
Already subscribed, so look for that notification.
Hell yeah.
So you can find me at Twitter at Cine_man. That is as below. That is, wait, there we go. CINE_MANN. You can find me on Twitter there, talking about all my movie thoughts. Mostly, you can see my thing inundated with Oscar stuff, but I wonder why. Also, you can find me on my on my YouTube at Manning Franks, where this coming week I'll be having a new video out about the best pictures of this past decade and ranking them from both a factual, review standpoint, but also personal preference, because I'm nerdy like that. I gotta have my personal preference in there. And you can find me also here hosting Gone for the Win. Our last episode will hopefully be this Tuesday before we go on a break this season. It's been a long season, so I'm taking a break, so don't be shocked if we're not on for a couple of months or whatnot, as we also continue to build new shows here on Take 3, so look forward to that.
Dylan, I know Chad's already plugged you, but
Yeah, right.
He did.
Do it again.
Chad's my advertiser. Check out the Dill Pickle Movie Network. I started it this year. It's already gotten off to a great start. Chad co-hosts the show with me. I also have 2 podcasts, one every Monday. It's called Marvelous Movie Mondays. You can check that out. New episode dropping Monday, where we did a whole 64 Avenger bracket, which was really fun.
Whoa.
And you can find me there. You can also find me at Twitter on Twitter at Dylan_Randazzo, where I'm also on Letterboxd under the same handle. Thanks for having me.
Chris, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Twitter at Beyond Small and Malcolm for Metal Content, and then got a few matches coming up. I am finally filming my new Kingdom over at Hunter channel. That'll be on my first match. And then anywhere. I'm working on a quote pretty soon. I can't give you right about because in previous vlog I have listed, but the idea of contract between two musical movie and how the different things make when you cut things out or keep adding stuff in. But I can't give you what it is until you get involved in the movie.
But yeah, you can find me on Take 3 hosting Mankum every Saturday night. I'll have the poll. I not too sure. I believe we've got a late night happening tomorrow. No, I don't know if anyone's actually confirmed if they'll be on there yet. But if I get people, then there will be one tomorrow. Otherwise, it will just have another break, and I'll move that topic to the week after. But I promise late night will be more of a regular occurrence, regardless.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, you can also find me over in Full Metal, where I host Full Metal Classic every Sunday. And you can find me hosting Full Metal Random. This week is a Black Books match with Garth taking on Mitchie and taking on Chris Aikman. So it should be an interesting match. Black Books is one of those series which I found really interesting in watching it to write these questions. But with that being said, we've reached the end.
Wait, before we go, I have indeed confirmed that on February 12th, 2020, February 15th, we did a Best Director Oscar winners. So we have a part 2, guys.
I guess I'm retitling this to Redux because
I just wanted to check that.
Interesting.
But
Guess who was number 1? Michael Curtiz. I'm done.
But with that being said, until next time, keep listing shit as I randomly do a Redux version without realizing it. There will be a planned Redux happening in a few weeks for the 150th episode of God.
Oh no.